FTX, government corruption, crypto explosion, downfall, people running out of money, financial collapse, World War III, ties to Ukraine, buzzword, buzzword, buzzword. Have you heard anything about the FTX scandal in the last few days? Well, this is my video on me trying to sum it up from someone that knows nothing about cryptocurrency money or FTX in general. Before we get into the video, to all you watching out there, I just gotta remind you to like, comment, share, and subscribe. For every subscription that we get, it will be donated to this man. His name is Ethan. He is heavily autistic. He has a hard time showing and expressing emotion. My theory is that he doesn't actually possess any. So any comment, and subscribe will be donated to the Ethan Emotion Fund, where we plan to convert Ethan from a financial robot into a human boy. Sam Bankman-Fried was the older of two brothers who grew up on the Stanford University campuses. Both of his parents, Barbara and Joseph, are law professors at Stanford University. His mother also works for a political fundraising organization called Mind the Gap. Mind the Gap raised $140 million for Joe Biden in 2020. To say Sam and his family are wealthy and intellectual, I think would be an understatement. It's undeniable. Sam is definitely a really smart guy. He got a degree in physics and a minor in math at MIT. In 2013, he decided to make his way into the financial sector, landing a job at Jane Street Capital, an investment firm. But Sam is the ambitious type, not wanting to work underneath somebody else. He decided to start his own investment firm alongside his partner, Tara McCauley, in 2017. Sam and Tara would form the Alameda Research Group. They had met, I think, less than a year prior during Sam's short stint at the Center for Effective Altruism, a charity that, as far as I can tell, hasn't actually done anything since its launch in 2012. Effective altruism is also a lifestyle. That's where the Center for Effective Altruism took their name. Essentially, the motto is rich people giving away all their money. That's the lifestyle. Get really rich and then give it all away, or at least appear like you are. In January 2018, Alameda Research was moving up to $25 million a day. They had found this loophole of buying Bitcoin in America at a lower price and then selling it at market price in Japan, which was a much higher price to turn a profit. This is what you would call in the financial community an arbitrage trade. I think. I don't know. With the crypto investments of Alameda Research paying off, Sam would decide to open his own crypto exchange in 2019. That exchange would be called FTX. A crypto exchange is not only a market where people could exchange crypto from one type into another, such as trading Bitcoin for Doge, but you could also exchange crypto for fiat currencies such as the US dollar or the euro, and FTX would make its money by charging a percentage on each transaction, a fee for facilitating the exchange. FTX would also work as a form of like crypto bank, if you will. So you could store your money on FTX by essentially purchasing their FTT token. FTT is a cryptocurrency that is proprietary, owned and created and controlled by FTX. And if you did so, they would supply you with reduced fees on the exchanges. FTX quickly made itself stand out from the competition by catering more to a crypto-oriented crowd. You see a lot of these crypto exchanges at the time were trying to play to the lowest common denominator, people like me that have no idea what's going on with crypto. And FTX would come in with a bunch of added like advanced resources for advanced users, enticing the big spenders. And if you opted to store all your crypto with them, they also would not invest it. You see, banks don't necessarily carry 100% of their assets on hand. So let's say you, little Johnny, take your $100 and you store it in the bank. The bank might take 80 of that $100 and use it in investments. The investments generate the bank revenue, the bank gets more money. So if something happens in the financial market, such as, I don't know, the 2008 financial crisis.
Traders saying this is the craziest day they have ever seen in these markets. Veteran traders saying they've never seen anything like it. The movement in oil prices so fast, so
down 9% today. The Xetra DAX over in Frankfurt is down by 9%. The Paris market down by 9%. Austria, which was briefly suspended,
where everyone's trying to pull out their money all at once because the banks are failing, then you cause something called a bank run.
Bank run.
Because the banks don't have enough money to pay everyone off and everyone's pulling out their money all at once, the banks essentially just financially end up collapsing. That's exactly what happened in 2008. Many banks had to beg the US government for bailouts, which essentially means that American taxpayers had to pay for it. So part of the charm of storing your crypto with FTX is that you would get around all that shenanigans, as they would not invest your money into anything and just leave your money there. FTX and Alameda Research's headquarters were both located within the same compound in the Bahamas. FTX was allegedly ran by 10 of Sam's closest confidants and friends, who he was all in a amphetamine-fueled polyamorous relationship with. It's hard to say if that is true. I mean, that is like a big rumor that is currently going around about Sam and FTX, that basically like the 10 people running the show were all just living together and having sex. There was a on-staff, what would you call it, like therapist, who did come out and say, which I think I can pull up right here. So the Daily Mail interviewed this therapist, and basically he said that no, the whole thing was about amphetamines and having sex with each other is in fact not true. But then it comes into question like the doctor-patient confidentiality agreements. So, you know, I question this guy's motivations in the first place. But one thing that is for certain, with Sam's hands full with FTX, he decided to hire a new CEO of Alameda Research, and he would hire his ex-girlfriend, Caroline Ellison, despite having no actual background in finance at all.
Hi, yeah, I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
FTX's rise in 2021 was meteoric, to say the least. It very quickly grew to the top ranks of crypto exchanges. They had an aggressive marketing campaign with celebrity endorsements like Tom Brady.
What's up?
I'm getting into crypto.
With FTX. You in?
We're providing gives 360-degree access to the crypto markets with the ability to trade everything from alts to DeFi. I believe I'm in, but still hate you.
Understood.
Steph Curry.
With FTX, I have everything I need to buy, sell, and trade crypto safely.
Even Larry David.
Like I was saying, it's FTX. It's a safe and easy way to get into crypto.
I don't think so. And I'm never wrong about this stuff. Never.
The messaging and the marketing was essentially, if you don't purchase crypto, specifically from FTX, you are going to be a financial dinosaur left in the past, unable to keep up with these advanced technologies. And that's just their active marketing. Their passive marketing, which means the marketing that solely exists for brand awareness, was on another level. They put their name on the stadium where the Miami Heat played. They partnered with the MLB to have their logo on every single umpire's uniform. They had an esports league. They got their logo on Mercedes F1 car. They hosted chess tournaments, etc., etc., etc. Within a short 2-year span, FTX would push Chinese-owned Binance off the top of the hill and become the #1 crypto exchange. And during this time period, Sam would also do some brand recognition of his own. He became another eccentric billionaire, marketing himself as the most generous billionaire. Driving a $30,000 car, dressing like a slob, making videos to show how vulnerable and autistic he is while promoting how generous he is, giving so much of his wealth to good causes. First things first, just in my experience, people that tend to, scream from the top of the mountain how good of a person they are, it just ends up becoming marketing for their image, and it kind of detracts from any like actual tenable things that they do. Secondly, where exactly did he donate to? Did anyone ask? I did, and then I found out. Was he truly altruistic? Or were these donations also supplying him great benefit? Was the extremely rapid growth of FTX completely organic? Or did Sam have friends in high places? In 2021, Sam donated an estimated $44 million to various charities and organizations, all under the umbrella of the Center for Effective Altruism, an organization he and some of his top executives had ties to. Sam and the co-founder of Alameda Research, Tara McCauley, both worked at the Center for Effective Altruism. I would make the claim that CEA was just a charity organization for rich people to launder money through, but that would be a tinfoil hat conspiracy. So it's tinfoil hat time! When the tinfoil hat is on, take everything I say with a grain of salt, because I don't actually know what I'm talking about. Can I prove that there was definite money laundering? No, I cannot. But what I can say is that there are very clear, deep ties between Sam and CEA's founder, William McCaskill, a Scottish man who shouldn't be trusted because he took his wife's last name after marriage, and then after they divorced decided to still keep her last name. He was not born McCaskill, he had a different last name, and then took his wife's in the most progressive thing I've ever heard. Bro, you're divorced. Get your name back. What are you doing? Progressive nonsense aside, these donations weren't wholly just for charity's sake. According to the Washington Post, CEA is, quote, largely young, white men connected to elite schools in the United States and Britain, according to recent annual EA surveys. Prominent on college campuses, the ideology has also taken hold in fields like artificial intelligence, where it has reshaped industry norms. Before Bankman-Fried's empire unraveled, EA had access to an estimated $46 billion in funding and was making a strategic push to influence global public policy, which William McCaskill openly admits to as much during a podcast, speaking about making waves into the United Nations to try and affect global policies on climate, such as introducing global carbon taxes and the implementation and control of global AI and surveillance measures. And then there's Sam's younger brother, Gabe. Gabe created a political action committee, or a PAC for short. This PAC dedicated itself to trying to prevent the next pandemic. But the PAC had actually come under fire from Democrats and NBC, claiming the PAC was actually just a front to purchase seats in the Senate, gaining political favor, which would be highly beneficial for Sam. And we haven't even gotten into Sam's personal donations yet. Can you hear it? That's the sound of money being donated. Sam donated $5.2 million to Joe Biden's campaign during the 2020 elections, $39.9 million during the 2022 midterm elections. This would make Sam the second highest donor in the Democratic Party. On top of that, two of his executive level employees at FTX also donated a total of $29 million to the Democrats in the midterms. I did see sources say that those two people don't actually donate that money to the Republicans in the midterms, so if I'm wrong on that, I'm sorry. Either way, the total donations for the FTX camps in 2022 was $69 million. And don't forget Sam's mom, Barbara, who also raised $140 million for Joe Biden through Mind the Gap. FTX also has some sort of ties with real-life Bond villain Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum. The World Economic Forum lists FTX as one of their corporate partners, or at least they did, as well as some sort of financial connection to the Ukraine, President Zelensky, and allegedly through all these donations going to Democrats funding the war in Ukraine. Sam and FTX clearly have a lot of political power and sway in the US Senate. The Financial Times was able to acquire a screenshot of FTX's books. But it clearly states on this balance sheet that they have a fund set aside to counter Donald Trump in 2024. And Sam isn't the only one with friends in high places. Remember CEO of Alameda Research, Caroline Ellison? Caroline Ellison's father, Glenn Ellison, is the professor of economics at MIT, the school that both she and Sam went to for college. Glenn Ellison is also the former boss of Gary Gensler. Gary Gensler also was a former professor at MIT, but not only did he used to work for Carolyn's father, but is now the head of the SEC, the Security Exchange Commission. The SEC is an organization that should be investigating companies like FTX should they be doing anything illegal. They did not. So just to recap, Sam made his ex-girlfriend Carolyn the CEO of Alameda Research and also is the co-CEO of FTX. FTX should be investigated by Gary Gensler, the head of the SEC, who used to work for Carolyn's father, Glenn, who was the father of Carolyn, who slept with Sam and also works with Sam. Do you see why I'm wearing the hat now? So I return to my original question. Was FTX growth organic, or were they being propped up by the U.S. Democratic government? To be fair, I'd say both is kind of true. I think definitely it became like a hot company. They had a great marketing campaign, but they also clearly had a lot of help from the government. It is also worth mentioning that FTX was able to, within like the span of a year, get $2 billion in funding. They were funded by companies like BlackRock, which is like, one of the most corrupt corporations in America today, if not the most corrupt. I mean, just to illustrate how sought after Sam was at the time, there's an article here on Business Insider. It reveals that Sam was caught playing League of Legends during a pitch meeting where this company, Sequoia Investments, was trying to invest money into them. They were so dumbfounded by the fact that Sam couldn't have really cared about their investment at all. They ended up investing $214 million into FTX. But alas, like all things, they must come to a close eventually. Even if you run a multi-billion-dollar crypto exchange and have high-ranking government officials in your pocket around the globe, one thing is always true. Do not mess with CZ. November 2nd, 2022, crypto news site CoinDesk would have this expose type article on FTX after their financials got leaked, if you remember that leaked balance sheet from before. And they illustrated how Alameda Research's assets amounted to about $14.6 billion, with their single largest assets being FTT, the proprietary coin that is owned and operated by Sam and FTX. That would amount to about $3.66 billion worth of that coin. And they would also have another $2.16 billion in FTT that was collateral, meaning that the coin wasn't even liquid. What's concerning is not just the fact that the majority of the assets of Alameda Research existed in a made-up currency that was printed out by the creator of the company, Sam, but also FTT wasn't really easily convertible into some kind of fiat currency like the US dollar. But if you remember, FTX made claims that they were not taking your currency and investing it in the market. Now, this article by CoinDesk didn't necessarily point to that happening, but it definitely raised a lot of questions. You see, it seemed like what was happening was Sam was taking people's crypto and then transferring it over to Alameda Research, who would invest it. Unfortunately for Alameda Research, they had been making a run of bad investments, and that sent the market into a panic. People started selling off their FTT, trying to get off the sinking ship before it completely drowns, which would cause the price of FTT to plummet overnight and cause a bank run on FTX. November the 6th, 2022. Just 4 days later, with FTT plummeting and FTX completely falling apart, one man would take advantage. CZ. Changpeng Zhao, aka CZ, is the owner of the formerly #1 crypto exchange in the world, Binance. I say formerly because after 2021's meteoric rise of FTX, he was dethroned by Sam. Like the ruthless businessman that CZ is, he decided to sit and wait and look for an opportunity, and that opportunity came on November the 6th. You see, CZ was one of the largest shareholders in FTT. At the time, he controlled $580 million in FTT, which was about 10% of FTT's total value. And on November the 6th, he would send out one tweet saying that he was going to sell off all of his FTT tokens. November the 8th, 2022. With FTX in a full-on financial tailspin, Sam comes to his competitor hat in hand, nowhere else to go, and begs him to purchase, to buy out his company. They come to an agreement, and Sam would tweet out on November the 8th, "This is a user-centric development that benefits the entire industry. CZ has done and will continue to do an incredible job of building out the global crypto ecosystem and creating a freer economic world." November the 9th, 2022, which is one day after the announcement that FTX was being bought out by Binance, CZ would announce that he is reneging on the deal. After seeing the books of FTX, he was like, "Oh, this place is complete chaos, and your value was completely just made up because it was based off of a currency that you invented. So none of this was actually real. I'm not going to buy it." As a result of corporate due diligence, as well as the latest news reports regarding mishandling customer funds and alleged U.S. agency investigations, we have decided that we will not pursue the potential acquisition of FTX.com. November the 10th, the Bahama government would freeze all of FTX's assets. And on November 11th, 2022, FTX would file for bankruptcy. There's a lot of information I didn't include in this video because this is still a developing story. They're saying that up to $2 billion in people's funds has just vanished. They don't actually know what happened to it. There's reports that allegedly the Bahamian government had asked Sam to pull that money out before they froze everything in some kind of like back door that he had engineered into the platform. Where that money ended up going, nobody really knows yet. I don't even know if we'll ever know. And it could be more. I've seen reports that it could be up to $8 billion in missing assets. But from what I could tell that is true about this story for sure is that Sam came from a rich elite family. He started a multi-billion-dollar company, ran it into the ground very quickly with bad investments based off promises that he could not keep. Those promises were being upheld and promoted by his political affiliates that he donated millions of dollars to, which he also created out of nowhere. Could this all be a ploy for the US government to try and regulate cryptocurrencies by having one controlled by the government? Could be. I mean, that is definitely a tinfoil hat theory right there. I don't think we'll ever really get the full story of what happened. Currently, Sam has not been extradited back to the US since writing this. He's still in the Bahamas, allegedly there's sightings of him in like Algeria or something, one of those A countries. I don't know. Maybe I'll do a follow-up on this if there's more information in December, but okay, bye.